Men of Reddit, what things that women find unattractive about themselves do you find very attractive, and why? Welcome to the House of Reddit. Hope you enjoy this video. For every I don't get why women are self-conscious about their curly hair, I love curly hair. Or I prefer shorter nails, you'll get 1,000 of no. A real woman has straight hair kind of nonsense, or short nails aren't feminine type of guys. For every oh I think men in gray sweatpants are sexy because of the bulge, you'll get 1,000 I would never date a man wearing sweatpants, that's lazy pants, and I wouldn't date a lazy man. There are people who don't care about cellulites. There are people who will be disgusted by it. That's why dating is a numbers game. There are 8 billion people on this earth, most of them are insane or dumb, or both. It takes meeting a lot of people, or being incredibly lucky, to find someone you match with. That's why you have to be unapologetically yourself at all time, filter those assholes out. You think your sneeze is weird? Sneeze weirder. It will save you lots of time. As a guy, I just wanted to say to any female dealing with this type of situation, tell that pile of insecure, toxic masculinity to fuck off forever and to lose your number. I love and value my wife, and we've been together for 20 years. When we're at gatherings, I absolutely love when she shows her humor, intelligence, personality, because then the people we're hanging out with get to see a lot of the reasons that I love her. Stifling someone to make yourself look better in a relationship is two things: a complete lack of balance, it's a human, not a chair that distracts from the rest of the furniture, and a recipe for one person being happy in the future and the other being miserable. Punt that dude into oblivion and never look back. As for you, personally, it is nice to hear you're in a healthier situation. Congrats. Lots of guys feel threatened by women who are smarter or funnier than they are. Lots more guys don't overtly act upset by it but do seem to prefer a girlfriend who's not quite as smart as they are. I ended up marrying a guy who likes the fact that I'm smart, but in all honesty, I did better during my dating years if I hid that aspect of myself to some extent. I have a good female friend with a great sense of humor who told me that she had similar experiences with guys not really being happy when she was funnier than them. A friend of mine had a larger nose and she was gorgeous. She was beautiful and her cute nose gave her something a bit more special than the rest of the girls. She ended up getting surgery and it broke my heart because while still pretty, she now just looked like every other pretty girl. Love her regardless, but I believe every person has a distinctive feature that they should appreciate and love about themselves, and pride/self-love makes it even more attractive. Their smile. This one might be just me, but my wife has always self-conscious about her smile. She feels her teeth aren't straight enough, or aren't spaced how she's like them, whatever. It's all nonsense. When we were dating I would compliment it all the time, and she thought I was making fun of her. I never was. What makes a smile beautiful is how genuine and authentic it is, how joyful. And my wife has the most authentic, beautiful smile of anyone I've ever met. I'd move mountains for that smile, I'd give anything to keep it on her face. Real kicker? Our 2-year-old daughter got her mama's beautiful smile, and I'm completely helpless to them both. Having a deeper voice. There was this one girl I knew who used to be a stripper, and when I ran into her for the first time at a barbecue, I heard her talk and it was deep and naturally sultry and I almost went weak at the knees. She is already the prettiest woman I have ever seen, but hearing her voice just sent her from 10/10 to 47/10. Sucks she ended up being kind of a bad person cause Lord she was sexy. In high school, every once in a while, a guy would comment on how deep my voice was. I always felt insecure about it. Until I went to college and one of my professors, who I'll admit I found very attractive and crushed on a bit, told me that I had a deep and husky voice. He's like, it's kind of like Lauren Bacall. First time I'd ever been complimented on my deep voice. And to be compared to Lauren Bacall as well. Ever since then I've loved my deeper voice. And as a woman who also likes women, I like women with deeper voices too. I heard a woman doing karaoke once, singing a Frank Sinatra song in a deep, husky voice. I could have melted. As a child, what genuinely terrified you? I've always lived in old houses, so the beams would cool down at night, shrink, and settle. There was usually some sort of creaking or groaning going on. The radiators would gurgle, clank, and ping. And crinkled up bags uncrinking are terrible. Though the worst thing is an object suddenly falling from its perch. I've had action figures leap off the shelf above my bed and land on my face. Once, When I was home alone, a picture fell off the wall and the glass shattered with the most terrible noise. I screamed and almost peed myself. I thought someone was breaking in. Oh, man. When I was a kid, I think whatever brand of light bulb we were using in our lamps would make these sort of clicking/snapping/creaking noises after we turned them off. Well, I never noticed the sounds until I turned my lamp off, which sounded kind of like a spider walking/crawling somewhere nearby, except not really consistent enough to be a spider/etc., and every time I got the courage to check, there were never any to be found anyway. I used to have so many nightmares during those days about spiders crawling in my bed, up until the year my parents got me a Walkman so I could block the sounds out with music blasting in my headphones every night. Even now as an adult in a much less creepy house, I sometimes feel like I need music to fall asleep too, especially if I'm in a new place. When I was younger I was deathly afraid of clowns until my dad took me to this type of amusement park that turns Halloween themed in October. Around my birthday, obviously they had scary clowns and zombies everywhere, so I stayed as close to my dad as possible, but as the night went on I started to see the same clowns over and over again, and they started recognizing me and waving because they noticed I was scared, and I realized they were just regular people, and ever since I haven't been afraid of clowns. I was sitting in my room once when I was about 7 years old. It was 2 weeks before my 8th birthday and I was expecting a new video game console from my parents. In the meantime, I was trying to determine what I should do with my old version. I had considered selling it, but I was only 7, so I didn't really have the means of doing so. I opened my closet door to look for a spot to place it. I had some shoes in there that my parents had gotten me for soccer practice, along with my coveted Heelys. I love those fucking shoes. I would wear them to school every day, just zooming around like a madman. One time I accidentally rolled my ankle while wearing them and my second grade crush laughed at me and it made me cry. That was the day I realized what a cruel world we live in. Windows. Sounds strange, but there's a story. About when I was 7 or 8, my mom had been taking a nap on the couch and asked me to take her pillow back to her room. It's about 9 p.m. at night and there's a long hallway that leads to nothing but my parents' bedroom. As I'm turning the corner and am facing directly towards the window on the opposite side of the room, the window shatters and I run back to my mom crying, terrified. My mom walks to the room and checks everything out but doesn't notice the window is broken. So she just thought I was just being scared of the dark. Well, my brother is a bit more suspicious and had this weird gimmicky flip phone with a night vision camera. He took a picture out of the window in the kitchen and we could see the reflection of something. My mom told him to take another picture of the same thing. Second picture came back and no reflection. We eventually get calmed down and all go to bed. The AC kicked on and my mom felt a draft, so she got up, and that's when she realized the window was busted out and someone was trying to break in. Next day we get the police over to check it out and my brother showed the 2 pictures. They finally decided the reflection was from where someone was standing outside the window watching my mom as she was on her laptop in the kitchen. Women of Reddit, what things that men find unattractive about themselves do you find very attractive, and why? My boyfriend specifically becomes self-conscious over his excitement of his hobbies. His last relationship was toxic to the extreme and she would force him to feel bad for having hobbies outside of her and for having his attention elsewhere. It was to the point where he was apprehensive to even tell me what he was doing sometimes because he would worry that I would be mad at him for having a social life. But honestly, I love it. Everything about him and his personality is just beautiful. The way he gets so excited when he calls the climax of the story arc of his new favorite anime, or when he tells me he's listening this podcast of this new man he discovered that talks about anime and how he loves it. Or when he shows me his new character for Dan that he's drawing and how he lets me pick their hair color and eyes sometimes, goes through the different powers they have and why he chose them for that campaign. Or how he laughs so hard at his little weeby tic-tics that I don't understand, so he has to explain them to me and he laughs harder. Or even when Hess watching subs and I'll ask him what is going on even if I really don't care about it, just to see how big his smile gets when he gets to explain all about this part of this story arc, that I truthfully forget about by the next morning. Even if I don't share his passions, I love to see his love for them. And it baffles me to think she ever made him feel so bad for loving the things he loves. As a fellow quiet guy who has had a couple of long-term relationships, it starts with finding a good friend group full of like-minded individuals that are also not shitty people. And I don't just mean other guys, Make some friends that are girls and put yourself in a position to be in a group that has a history of being a positive space for women to exist in. Every relationship that I've been in besides the one I'm currently in, Thai bumble gods, goddesses, has been with a friend of a friend. Generally your friends will know other people who either have similar interests or complementary personalities to yourself that you might hit it off with. The only thing you need to do is clean up nice regularly, be genuinely yourself, and keep the self-deprecation to a reasonable not so serious level. Also people can and will come to you if they are interested, keep an eye out for the signs even if you don't see them at first, you got this dude. It's incredibly disheartening to hear a girl say you're too short for them, similar to how it would be crushing to a girl if a guy told her she was several cup sizes too small for him. Maybe it is a valid preference, but one best kept private. Some women brag about refusing to date short men, or make hurtful remarks directly to short men. Sure, people will say just don't date those girls, but this is deeper than dating. We short men have self-esteem too, and the comments some people get away with can absolutely shatter it. I'm 5'6", which means I am still as tall or taller than a lot of women, but unfortunately it seems at my age, early 20s, it's often the case that the shorter the gal, the taller they want their date to be for some reason. Makes no sense to me, but there you have it. Your take is refreshing. Well, he was going to figure it out sooner or later. Hope he takes the cold bath bravely. Just don't mention it and stay positive. Compliment him on other things, and if he's really dwelling on it you can always remind him that everyone has some aspect of their physical appearance they wish they could change. Being insecure about it just makes things worse. I have a few friends that try to hide it under a hat, but that just makes things so much worse and draws attention to the insecurity, which begins to define them in a way. Also, the only people who are always checking hairlines are other balding dudes. Most people are too busy thinking about their own insecurities to judge a balding guy. It happens to most men, so how's he gonna deal with it? Like the sad hat people? Or like Bruce Willis? If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any suggestions for future videos, please let us know in the comments below. Turn on the notifications to know when we post new videos. Thank you for coming to the House of Reddit.